Welcome back to the Tracy Take. I am Tyler here with my brother Ryan, and today we are doing the Houston Texans final mock draft of the 2024 offseason. It is a full 7 round mock draft, so we will be going over all of the Texans selections here in a moment. But before we do that, the NBA and NHL playoffs are right around the corner. And if you are a person that likes to put a couple bucks down on the game that you are watching, be sure to click the link down below and take full advantage of the Bet US promotion that they have going on. For all first-time players, you get a 125% match for your first 3 deposits when you go on to BetUS. It is a phenomenal deal. So if you haven't been on there before and you want to check out the site with the playoffs coming up, be sure to take full advantage and click that link down below. While you're at it, be sure to like this video and also subscribe to the Tracy Take to get notified whenever we create new content. We are trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. We're about 150 away or so by the NFL draft. So any help is greatly appreciated. And Ryan, let's pull this up here. So the Texans have had a wild offseason so far, signing a bunch of great guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball as well. And also, too, they were kind of, once again, in the news as well for getting Stephon Diggs. So kind of that offense is almost about as perfect, I think, as it could be. And so we'll address the offensive line here in a little bit. But one of the things, too, it kind of puts that question of getting like skill position players, I think, on hold now, especially within those top 100 picks. Absolutely could. They absolutely could. But I also think, too, with these first 3 picks in the top 100, I think that they will go on the defensive side of the ball here. And they going with a guy, too, like Darius Robinson. He's a guy that you really like as well. He's classified as an edge rusher, but he is a big edge rusher. And so he's not like a Will Anderson type modern day edge rusher. So I think he provides a lot of versatility, I think, to this team as well. If you go put him the big body guy, he's going to bring up a lot of attention. And Will Anderson on the other side could create for a lot of great matchups. What do you really like Darius Robinson here, especially then too in this D'Amico Ryans defense?
Yeah, so D'Amico Ryans worked with a lot of, I don't say tweeners, but like I think you look at like Solomon Thomas and Eric Armstead, like those guys to me kind of profile out in similar ways to Darius Robinson. Darius Robinson reminds me a lot of Keon White, the prospect from Georgia Tech that was drafted last year. Both guys are about 6'5", 285, right? So they're that tweener size. He's just very, very physical. And honestly, like when you watching him at the Senior Bowl with some of the top offensive linemen in this class, and he was just so much more physical than a lot of them. And that to me, I think translates to the next level. You look at what D'Amico Ryans likes to do, and I think he's a perfect guy to be in that system, in that D'Amico Ryans system, just with his physicality and mentality going forward.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. I think they're in a good spot here now as well, and they took full advantage of trading back, and they got that 2nd round pick from Minnesota. Then they just sent that over to Buffalo. You can have it.
Yeah.
We'll take Stephon Diggs at pretty much, I think, a high risk, low risk, high reward type deal.
Yeah.
And so they're picking a couple picks later. Let's move on to that one at pick 59. Have them going with Mike Sanders still. I apologize if I mispronounced that. But cornerback here as well. Locker room leader as well out of Michigan, national champion. I think he also could potentially shift out to safety as well. But at minimum, just going to be good depth. And I think for a really smart player like this, once again, that's what you're talking about with Robinson. But put him into D'Amico Ryans' defense. I think he provides a lot of immediate value to this team.
Yeah, I mean, one of the most versatile guys, I think, in this class, and nobody can say enough things about Mike Sanderstill out of the University of Michigan, and just really solid. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Brian Branch from last year. I know I've compared the first 2 picks to players from last year, but Brian Branch came in. He played an immediate role for the Detroit Lions last year, and was just a really, really solid rookie for them. And I see Sanderstill kind of doing the same thing. He can be a nickel. He can be a box safety. He can play deep if you need him to as well in a free safety type role. Just a very smart player, very, very solid player. And I think he brings a lot of versatility to whatever defense he's going to end up in. In this scenario, he ends up here with D'Amico Ryans in Houston. So let's move on now to the 3rd pick. And maybe this is a little bit of a reach, but I think when you look at what Malik Washington brings to the table, I think as a 4th receiver, he's going to get a lot of manufactured touches. That's what happened at the University of Virginia with him there. And basically, they just kind of treated him as a running back at the wide receiver spot. and he has the agility, he has the speed, he has the hands that you want in a wide receiver, like with his physical attributes and skill set. And so I think getting him to be kind of that slot safety valve for CJ Stroud, where you have Stephon Diggs, you have Nico Collins, Tank Dell. Tank Dell less than the others, but those guys really win down the field. And getting a guy like Malik Washington that can come in and play a role as a safety valve underneath for CJ Stroud, I think would be very, very useful.
Yeah. Well, I also think, too, even with the addition of Stephon Diggs, he could also be there just for 1 year. But also then, too, with how creative Bobby Slowick is in this offense, I think with his trait and capabilities, it's something that they don't really have as of right now. And I think they can find an opportunity to utilize him. I do think he's maybe a little aggressive looking back on it. It's absolutely still a possibility. Maybe if they go with like a Zach Zentert here at this pick, who was taken about 10 picks later, I think that could be a potential option for this team. But who knows, though? It's Texans are already sitting on cloud nine, I think, after this offseason. So they really like this player. I can absolutely see them going after him. So let's wrap this up, though, here then with their day 3 picks. And so then we do have them going with Ben Sinnott, tight end here. I know they have Dalton Schultz here, but he is also a little bit on the older side as well. It just provides just some good depth overall.
Yeah, he's also more of a traditional tight end. So he's going to play in line where Dalton Schultz is more of like a jumbo receiver.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And then next couple picks, Tommy Eichenberg, and then Dominique Hampton as well. I'm going back to the defensive side of the ball with those couple of picks.
Yeah, and sticking on the defense side of the ball, Zion Logue, the defensive tackle from Georgia, just a big guy to kind of play in the middle. Andrew Rahm, the interior offensive lineman from Georgia. And then Ethan Driscoll, a potential developmental offensive tackle out of Marshall. All in all, I mean, I think these guys, they hit free agency out of the ballpark. And I know they traded back from 23 to 42 and were like, in the draft, they're not going to make as big of an impact, but still getting really solid players that have the potential to come in and contribute at the very least in rotational roles. In the second and third round, that's really what you're looking for, is guys that can come in for like in at least just contribute somewhat. And I think they do that and then some in this class. And I even really like a lot of their day 3 picks that come in, and I think they fit what they try to do really, really well.
I think there's one thing just looking back on it now, I probably would have maybe traded Zach Zenther for Malik Washington. Washington for Zach Zenther, and then try and go get a guy like Malik Washington in day 3.
Do like Taj Washington actually out of USC, who was around at like 199.
I think that's probably what I would have done looking back on it. And I also think then too, probably something that they would do compared to with now all the new information, then all the new additions that they've had on the skill position player section. In general, though, I mean, this Texas team got phenomenally good really quickly. This time last year, we were like, we'll go CJ Stroud. Like, maybe they'll win 5 games, this year. And like, no, they're Super Bowl contenders.
For sure. I think they're probably the favorites to win that division by I don't want to say a long shot because Jacksonville's good. Indianapolis was in contention for it last year, and Tennessee went out and went crazy as well. So it's going to be interesting to watch how this division plays out. I still like the Texans, and let's go ahead and wrap this one up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below on what you thought of the Houston Texans 3-round mock draft. Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you do differently? And on that, we'll see you guys